Hi, everyone, and welcome back to From Drift to Direction, the podcast where we talk about what it really takes to go from feeling lost to finding your path, from playing it safe to building a life that actually excites you. I'm your host, and today we're diving into something I've been thinking about a lot lately. Something that honestly pisses me off sometimes, but also something that's been one of the most freeing realizations of my life. We're talking about other people's opinions, specifically, why you need to stop listening to them. We'll talk about why seeking approval is killing your dreams, how I went from being a restaurant server in a small Bulgarian town, listening to everyone's advice, to becoming someone who builds what excites me without asking for permission, and why the only opinion that actually matters is yours. If you've ever felt held back by what your family thinks, what your friends say, or what society expects, this episode is for you. So grab your coffee, settle in, and let's get into it. So let me just say this right up front, because it's the truth, and we might as well start with it. If I had listened to everyone's advice, my family, my friends, the people back home, I would still be living in a small town in Bulgaria, working as a restaurant server. Let that sink in for a second. I would still be there, waiting tables, living the exact same life I was living years ago. Safe, stable, stuck. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with being a server. That's not the point. The point is that it wasn't my path. It wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't what excited me or made me feel alive or gave me any sense of purpose. But everyone around me, they had opinions. Oh, they had so many opinions about what I should do with my life. Go get a job, go to school, get a profession, and you'll be set. That was the advice. That was the blueprint. That was what everyone told me was the right way to live. Here's what changed everything for me. I realized that nobody's paying my bills but me. Nobody's waking up in my body every morning and living my life. Nobody's feeling what I feel or wanting what I want or dreaming what I dream. So why was I letting them decide what I should do? That's what this episode is about. It's about taking back control of your own path. It's about realizing that other people's opinions, even when they come from a good place, don't get to dictate your life. So let's talk about how I learned this lesson, why it matters, and what you can do starting today to stop seeking approval and start building the life you actually want. Let me take you back to Bulgaria, to the small town where I grew up, to the restaurant where I worked. It was a good place, familiar, comfortable. Everyone knew everyone. There was a rhythm to life there, a predictability. You knew what to expect. And there was also this unspoken agreement about how life was supposed to go. You finish school, you get a job, something stable, something respectable. Maybe you go to university if you can, get a degree in something practical, accounting, engineering, medicine if you're really ambitious. And then you work that job for the rest of your life. You get married, you buy a house, you raise kids, you retire. And that was the blueprint. That was success. And if you wanted to do anything different, if you wanted to take a risk or try something unconventional or chase something that didn't fit into that neat little box, people had opinions about that too. I remember working at that restaurant and I remember the conversations. People would ask me what I was going to do with my life. And when I'd mention wanting to travel, to try something creative or just explore, they'd look at me like I was crazy. That's not realistic. You need to think about your future. You need stability. Get a profession. That's what matters. And the thing is, they weren't trying to be mean. They genuinely believed they were helping me. They thought they were giving me good advice. They thought they were protecting me from making a mistake. But here's what they didn't understand. Their vision of success was not my vision of success. Their version of a good life, the stable job, the predictable path, the safety that wasn't what I wanted. That wasn't what made me feel alive. I'm naturally someone who likes to create. I get excited about building things, trying new things, exploring possibilities. That's who I am at my core. And every time someone told me to play it safe, to get a real job, to stop dreaming and start being practical, it felt like they were asking me to cut off a part of myself. So I had a choice. I could keep listening to them and live the life they thought I should live, or I could trust myself and build the life I actually wanted. For a while, I didn't know which one to choose. But that tension, that's where the real lesson started. Here's the thing about being someone who wants to create, who wants to build, who wants to do things differently. You are going to run into resistance, not just from strangers, but from the people closest to you, your family, your friends, the people who love you and want the best for you. And that makes it much harder because when a stranger doubts you, you can brush it off. But when it's your mother or your best friend or someone you respect telling you that your idea will not work, that you're being unrealistic, that you should just get a normal job and stop wasting time, that hits a little different. I remember when I started getting serious about creating, about building things that excited me. I'd share an idea with someone and I'd see it in their face, that look, that dismissive, oh, that's nice look that really means that's never going to work. Or they'd say something like, yeah, but how are you going to make money doing that? Or that sounds risky. Are you sure that's a good idea? Or my personal favorite, you should focus on something more stable. And at first, I'd get mad, like genuinely angry, because I'd be so excited about something and they just deflate it. They'd poke holes in it. They'd make me feel stupid for even trying. And I would think, why can't they just be supportive? Why can't they just believe in me? But then I realized something that's completely shifted my perspective. It's not about me. Their negativity, their doubt, their dismissiveness. It's not actually about me or my ideas. It's about them. It's about their fears, their limitations, their own experiences and beliefs about what's possible. When someone tells you that you cannot do something, what they're really saying is that they can't imagine doing it. They cannot see the path. They cannot picture it working, so they assume it will not. But their inability to see it doesn't mean it's not possible. Once I understood that, everything changed. I stopped taking their doubt personally. I stopped letting their fear become my fear. I stopped giving their opinions power over my decisions. Because here's the truth, their opinions don't change my reality. They're projecting their own limitations onto me, and I don't have to accept that projection. That realization freed me, and it led me to make one of the most important decisions of my life. I decided to stop seeking approval, not just from the obvious doubters, but from everyone. I stopped explaining myself. I stopped trying to convince people that my path was valid. I stopped waiting for permission. Because here's what I finally understood, you will never convince everyone. There will always be someone who thinks you're making a mistake. There will always be someone who doesn't get it. There will always be someone who thinks you should do things differently. And if you spend your life trying to get everyone on board, trying to make everyone understand, trying to get everyone's blessing, you will never actually do anything. You'll be so busy defending your choices that you will not have any energy left to actually make them. I remember the exact moment this crystallized for me. I was working on something I was really excited about, something creative, something that felt right in my gut. And I made the mistake of sharing with someone who I thought would be supportive. And they weren't. They were dismissive. They questioned it. They made me feel like I was wasting my time. And I felt that familiar anger rising up, that frustration, that why don't you believe in me feeling. But then I stopped myself and I thought, why do I need them to believe in me? I believe in me. I know what I'm capable of. I know what I want to build. Their doubt doesn't change any of that. And that was it. That was the moment I let go. I let go of needing their approval. I let go of needing them to understand. I let go of needing them to validate my choices. The only validation I needed was my own. And once I made that shift, I could finally start building without all that noise in my head. Which brings me to the next thing I learned. Here's what I started doing differently. I stopped broadcasting everything. I stopped sharing every idea, every plan, every move with people who didn't get it. I started doing things in silence. And let me tell you, that was one of the most powerful shifts I've ever made. There's this thing that happens when you share your dreams with people who don't believe in them. They plant doubt in your mind. Even if you don't want them to, even if you try to ignore them, their words get in there, their skepticism gets in there, and suddenly you're second guessing yourself. You're questioning whether you are being realistic. You're wondering if maybe they're right and you're wrong. And that doubt, it kills momentum. It kills creativity. It kills confidence. It kills the very thing you're trying to build. So I stopped giving people that power. I stopped telling everyone what I was working on. I stopped asking for opinions from people who weren't qualified to give them. I stopped seeking validation from people who didn't understand what I was trying to do. Instead, I just did the work quietly, consistently, without needing anyone's permission or approval. And you know what happened? I built things, real things, things that matter, things that worked, because I wasn't wasting energy defending my choices or convincing people or managing their doubts. I was just focused on work itself. There's this quote I love: move in silence, let your success make the noise. And that became my operating principle. I stopped talking about what I was going to do, I just did it. And then, when it was done, when it was real, when it was undeniable, that's when people saw it. And suddenly, the same people who doubted me were impressed. The same people who questioned me were supportive. Not because I convinced them, but because I showed them. Working in silence doesn't mean working alone, though. And that's an important distinction. Because while I was cutting out the noise from doubters, I was also actively seeking something else. What following your path actually builds. So let's talk about what happens when you actually do this, when you stop seeking approval, when you do the work in silence, when you connect with the right people. What does that actually build? For me, it built a life I'm genuinely excited about. I'm creating, I'm building, I'm doing work that matters to me. I'm connecting with people all over the world. I'm making an impact in ways I never could have imagined. And yeah, it's been hard, it's been uncertain, it's been scary at times, but it's also been fulfilling in a way that nothing else ever was. Because I'm living my life, not the life my family wanted for me, not the life my friends expected, and not the life society said I should have, my life. And here's the thing: I don't regret any of it. Not the risks I took, not the people I disappointed, not the conventional path I walked away from. Because every single choice I made, every time I trusted myself over someone else's opinion, it led me here, to this moment, to this life, to this version of myself that I'm actually proud of. And that's what following your path builds. Not just external success, though that comes too, but internal fulfillment, confidence, self trust, the knowledge that you're capable of creating the life you want, regardless of what everyone else is saying or thinks. But I also want to be real with you. This isn't just some feel good story. There were consequences. There were relationships that changed. There were people who didn't understand and maybe never will. And I had to make peace with that. Because at the end of the day, you have to choose. Do you want approval or do you want the life you are meant to live? You can always have both, and I choose the life every single time. All right, so let's get practical because I know what you're thinking. Okay, this all sounds great, but how do I actually do this? Here are three things you can start doing right now. 1. Identify your doubters and reduce your exposure. Make a mental list or write it down of the people in your life who consistently doubt you, dismiss your ideas, or make you feel bad about your choices. And then Consciously reduce how much you share with them. You don't have to cut them out of your life. You don't have to have a big confrontation. You just stop giving them access to your dreams. Keep the conversation surface level. Talk about the weather, talk about their life, but stop sharing the things that matter most to you with people who don't respect them. Pick one thing you want to do and do it without seeking approval. Just one thing, something you've been putting off because you're worried about what people will think. Maybe it's starting that project, maybe it's making that career change, maybe it's pursuing that hobby everyone thinks it's a waste of time. Whatever it is, do it. Don't announce it, don't ask for permission, don't seek validation. Just do it in silence and see what happens. 3. Find one person or community that gets it. Here's the thing, when you're surrounded by doubters, it's exhausting. You're constantly defending yourself. You're constantly justifying your choices. You're swimming upstream every single day. But when you find your people, everything shifts. I'm talking about people who are on a similar path. People who understand what it's like to go against the grain. People who get excited about what you're building instead of poking holes in it. Those are the people who cheer you on instead of tear you down. They will give you real feedback, not just skepticism. They'll remind you that you are not crazy when doubt creeps in. So actively seek them out. Join an online community, go to a meetup, reach out to someone whose work you admire. Find just one person who understands what you're trying to do. And start building that relationship, because that one person or that community can make all the difference. They become your anchor when everything else feels uncertain. Those aren't complicated steps, but they are powerful because they shift the focus from seeking external validation to building internal confidence. And that's where real change happens. So here's what I want to leave with you today. You know that thing you've been wanting to do, that dream you've been sitting on, that path you've been too scared to walk because you're worried about what people will think. Start walking it, not tomorrow, not when you have more money or more time or more certainty, not when you finally get everyone's blessing. Now, start now. Because here's what I learned, the people who doubt you today will either come around when they see your success or they will not. In either way, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you showed up for yourself. What matters is that you honored what you knew was true in your gut. What matters is that you built something real instead of spending your life wondering what if. The approval you're seeking, it's never going to feel as good as the pride you'll feel when you look at something you've built with your own hands, on your own terms, without asking anyone's permission. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying there won't be moments of doubt or fear or loneliness, but I'm saying it's worth it. Every single time you choose yourself over their opinions, you get stronger. Every single time you do the work in silence, you build momentum. Every single time you connect with someone who gets it, you remember why you started. And eventually, you look up and realize you did it. You built the life you wanted. You became the person you were meant to be. Not because you convinced everyone, but because you stopped trying to. So stop waiting for permission. Stop seeking approval. Stop trying to convince people who will never understand. Just start building. Do the work in silence. Connect with people who get it. Trust yourself more than you trust their doubts. And watch what happens. And remember, From Drift to Direction isn't just a podcast, it's a choice. And you get to make that choice every single day. Stop seeking approval. Start building your life. I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you for being here with me today. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear about it. Send me a message. Share it with someone who needs to hear this or leave a review. It really helps more people find the show. Thank you and see you next time.